A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to the apostles, "Do not let people intimidate you. Nothing is concealed that will not be revealed, and nothing is hidden that will not be made known. What I tell you in darkness, speak in the light. What you hear in private, proclaim from the housetops. Do not fear those who deprive the body of life, but can't destroy the soul. Rather fear the one who can destroy both body and soul in Gehenna. Are not the sparrows sold for pennies? Yet not a single sparrow falls to the ground without your Abba God's knowledge. And as for you, every hair of your head has been counted. So do not be afraid of anything. You are worth more than an entire flock of sparrows. Whoever acknowledges me before others, I will acknowledge before Abba God in heaven. Whoever disowns me before others, I will disown before Abba God in heaven." The good news of salvation. So this is my reflection on the first Sunday of Ordinary Time. A misnomer, I think. In Emerging Christ, Ilia de Leo describes spirituality today as a deepening of consciousness for a new way of being in the world, a consciousness of whole making that invites greater unity, forgiveness, reconciliation, mercy, and compassion. She sees that coming into this world increasingly through human hearts outside the doors of a church. This week, we celebrated the Supreme Court's decision on LGBTQI rights, a crusade that started 51 years ago at Stonewall, when a few brave souls took a stand against injustice. We applaud their courage and the millions who joined them over the decades, but we also discern that deepening of consciousness that de Leo describes. She is a student of Desjardins, whose major thesis was that humankind is evolving toward the divine. And we can see that spirit working here. 1964, 5 years before Stonewall, we passed the Civil Rights Act, and a Southern senator entered the term sex into that, thinking it would be a guilt killer. But miraculously, it passed anyway. In 1964, that word meant rights for women. If you had asked then if it included sexual orientation, the reply may easily have been, what is sexual orientation? Because the term had not even surfaced in 1964. Consciousness has moved dramatically to inclusiveness. 70 to 80% today approve. And in our own community, we can look at the expansion and the evolvement of just the term LGBTQI. It used to be gay rights. So today we find ourselves with the pandemic, which has revealed injustices we no longer deny, and police abuse that has prompted worldwide condemnation. We search our hearts to discern a proper response. The readings provide some answers and some cautions. Jeremiah, called to prophesy strife and disaster, was not a popular figure, but the truth of his message proved out, and he was later considered to be a protector of the nation. But Jeremiah, as Mary McClone notes in NCR, gets caught up in the dance of his enemies. He asks God to wreak revenge on them, even asking to be permitted to witness the vengeance. This was a common error in the Old Testament depiction of God as avenger. Jesus, in the gospel reading, takes a different tack. Confronted with the apostles' fear of the journey, he tells them to fear no one, but rather reflect and concentrate on how much God loves them, even numbering the hairs of their head. This anchoring in God's love is echoed by many in the spiritual life as essential to any journey. A 30-day Ignatian retreat is developed into what's called weeks or stages. And the first stage or week is God's unconditional love. Until you have mastered that and understood and grasped that, you do not move to stage 2. I had a friend who was thrown out of his home by his parents for being gay. He went on several 30-day retreats, and he never got past the first week. It's a difficult concept when you're abused by your parents. James Allison takes the same tact on forgiveness. He teaches that we need to see ourselves as not primarily victims and secondarily as a forgiver, but someone who is primarily forgiven and for that reason capable of being a forgiving victim for another. Grounding ourselves each day in a contemplation of God's love and forgiveness would always be a good start. And then we could better bring to whatever endeavor God brings us to God's love and forgiveness, mercy and compassion. I would like to close with this reflection with some words from Jesus' final prayer, because I think it coincides with where we began, with that consciousness. Desjardins' feeling that humanity is moving to the divine. Jesus said, "May they all be one, Father. May they be one in us." I find it inconceivable that this prayer will not be answered. And so it is a prophecy, a depiction not unlike that of Desjardins over 1900 years later, that all humanity will share in a divine, loving relationship. So grounded in the love and forgiveness of God, and energized by this vision of our destiny, I pray we journey without fear, grateful each day for being invited to the journey.